Messi. Messi. Oh my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. Oh, that is extraordinary. What a head, son. What a head. Back of the net.
Hello, this is the Not a Puddle podcast, and we have a full roster today, ladies and gentlemen. We have Rob, we have Connor, and we have Nate, and we have myself. Just throwing that in there. Gentlemen, how are we finding the Euros, Nate?
Boring, very boring.
Tell us how you really feel, though.
Like, the games that you think are going to be boring are exciting, and then the ones that you think are going to be exciting are boring. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but lads, I'm at the point where if it's a Deschamps and Southgate final, I'm not watching. I'm really not.
Oh, I think that's the kind of thing that they would put on Guantanamo Bay, Connor.
Oh, like it. To be honest with you, I think Nate summed it up perfectly. It's the games you don't expect are the ones that have been absolutely balling out. Like that Austria-Turkey game was one of the best games of the tournament for me. Well, honest to God, I know we laugh at him, and I was literally sat there just going, okay, maybe the boys had something, that he isn't a complete goon. But overall, don't get me wrong, it's been fantastic having games on, every other day, but it's been a poor tournament for a fair while of it. And I think for me, there's no one team that are absolutely balling out. I think, Spain are probably as close to it as we've got to anyone, but it's hard to see. How are you finding it, Killian?
I'm enjoying it. I was over in Wales for the last round, which was it was good to kind of see other English haters kind of react to how bad they're playing. And Rob, is it just me, or do you also have this kind of terrible sinking feeling of a possible England victory?
Yeah, that you're going to ask me how I think the tournament's been. I think it's underwhelming, but it has the potential to go from a 5 out of 10 tournament to an apocalyptic -50 if England win it, and I have to listen to Rio Ferdinand and Gary Neville and all of the pundits actually, but particularly those two. I don't think they're going to win it as we approach the semi-finals, but the tournament has been so bad, and France have created this almost like a roadmap of you don't even have to score anymore. You don't even have to have a shot on target. You can win matches just by getting to penalties and being really good at penalties and having players with good technique. So England are in a shout, but I think maybe the Dutch might get the better of them. But yeah, it is a worry as we get to this stage.
You think about head or heart in that one? Because
head tells me Spain. But actually, sorry, my head and my heart. My heart tells me Spain. I'd like to see Spain win it, and they play the best football. And my head is telling me France. So there's still a couple of obstacles to clear for England.
For me, the French have just been so I've never liked watching the French play. Really, kind of, I suppose Henry kind of sunk it for us all. But I found them really boring of late. And just before we hopped on, I saw a quote from Didier Deschamps, and obviously the words getting to him through the press that they're not playing the sexiest of football. And he was like, if you're getting bored, watch another game. You don't have to watch. That's fine. And it's if that's what your manager's saying, you're playing dog shit football.
Yeah.
But they're after expanding it to include more teams to make it more fun, and there's no more fun. I don't actually. I'm always afraid of the kind of rose tinted glasses, Nate, of 2010 World Cup felt really, really exciting. Euros 08 and 12 really, really exciting in particular. And kind of as the years goes on, I don't know if I'm just becoming blasé about it, but the quality in football just seems to be meh.
Some of these managers are on severe fraud watch. I'll put it out. Some of these, how you can't get these guys playing at least borderline basic football is beyond me. And I think it's sort of a symptom of we're sort of in the middle now, where international football is a bit more of the old school football, a bit more, you got less time to work with them. It's a bit more. It's a bit more basic, but then when they go back to their clubs, they're here playing really technical systems and stuff like that. So I think as we've developed on, we're sort of seeing this middle ground now where we're really not getting good things to watch.
It's really, really grim, Rob. Are players not intelligent enough to be able to play two different systems?
I think they definitely are. They're probably so
But some
tired.
of them aren't, I don't think.
Some of them, I'm not going to name any names, but some of them probably aren't. But I think some of them are probably too tired at this stage, and also some of them are like maybe Jude Bellingham and playing for Real Madrid, and they have Gareth Southgate telling them what to do, and they're probably like, "Listen, mate, like we know what we're going to do here." But for me, there's a lot of issues behind why the quality has dropped. Obviously the players are tired. Like it's a long season. They've been playing football for a full year, but you can still have good games. Like they're tired, Jordan. Like they were tired during the 2018 World Cup, and that was great. That was lots of fun. I think it's the format. I think it's the format of the tournament. It encourages negative play because the group stages have become almost irrelevant since they expanded to 24 teams instead of 16. Like I'm old enough to remember when it was Euro 2000 and I was only a kid, and that was the best tournament I have ever seen. So 16 teams Euro was perfect. It was a really elite quality. That's why Ireland got hammered in 2012. Like we shouldn't have been there. We were over depth. Like we were up against absolutely brilliant teams because 16 teams from Europe is high quality. 24 teams and the structure of the group where teams in third go through, I think it's just completely broken. And we see this now into the semi-finals. Like we've seen what's gone wrong here. Like if Germany don't equalise against Switzerland, Germany play Italy, and then they probably beat them because Italy were terrible. Then they play England in the quarterfinals. And then on the other hand of it, if France don't make a mess of it against Poland and actually score a goal from open play, France will play England in the semi-finals. So I think the format's broken, and I think they need to. They're not going to switch it down to 16 because they'd lose money in it. They're not going to do that, but they should probably bump it up to 32 now and make it the format a bit more kind of constructive, where it's like two from each group goes through and 16 teams out in the group stage versus at the moment, like we seen like the first group stage, the first round of games starts off great, lots of goals. Then each game, the quality seems to dip, and to the point where, like, if this is an England France final, like, my God, like this.
So that'd be a tournament of group stage, round of 32, round of 16, quarters, semis, final.
Yeah, same amount of matches, just you've 8 extra teams, which would be like they're decent teams anyway, apart from Ireland. There'd be Wales, there would be Norway. Like these aren't Sweden. They're not going to stink the place out. And
Big up San Marino.
yeah, and the best part to do with this tournament is being actually Georgia and Turkey and
100%,
so-called
and
war teams. So
I think that idea works, man. Like I really do. Like I don't know about you, Nate. What are you feeling on that?
Just to touch back quickly on what Killian was saying about past tournaments and how Dave sort of felt, I also think the product's becoming so saturated. Like
oh
the
yeah,
amount of football we have to view on a daily basis is insane. And like I don't know about you lads, but I'm very selective about what football I watch now, just because I'm so conscious about like actually just
Not
becoming
wasting
like
your own time.
not even wasting my own time, just becoming burnt out on it. Like, and I think that's a big thing and a big worry going forward is like it's only going up and up, and I think we probably need to start scaling it back now to where like there's only so much time I can put into the game. I can't watch every game,
Sure,
and this is way too much.
when you have Premier League teams flying to the other side of the world to play each other the day after the Premier League finishes, like the game is broken, Connor.
Oh, like I know, and like I know we were involved in that game, and ourselves and Spurs, and yeah, I just don't see the point of it. I think it's unfair on players as well. Like Trippier got a knock at that. He was very close to not going on that plane for the Euros. Like it's not good for player welfare. I mean, look, we've got questionable ownership. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's questionable governance from the Premier League as a whole. And I think on Nate's point about kind of the quality of the game, do you think it's a case of like, do you think where Nate's going with that, or do you think we just see so much football even through clips on TikTok of games we'd never see, and it's kind of just distilling the whole thing of going, we expect absolute excellence in every single game, or has the quality gone down a bit?
I like just to quickly touch on that. I think that at least myself, I don't go into a game and go, I'm expecting 90 minutes of like free flowing football. But I feel like some games we don't even get the bits, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like just thinking myself, it's like when you look at it, say when the Premier League's going or whatever, or the Euros now, and you look at the list of games, it's like every single one of them you pick is 90 minutes of your time that you're investing into that. It's like, and maybe I'm a bit nostalgic thinking back, but like I miss the old days where like you can go, Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game in 3 days' time, and I can't wait to watch it. Where now it feels like you're getting games and games every week, and you sort of have to pick and choose.
No, I think you're right. Like there was that kind of thing of yesteryear where it'd be Wednesday and you cannot wait for Super Sunday, and like it was your whole week revolved around it. Like I don't know. Nate's been being a very nostalgic old man for a young man. What are you saying, Ian?
I don't know. I think part of what's going on now is that there's just this like homogenization of styles of play that like everybody's trying to play a certain way, and that's why the likes of Georgia and Austria are fun when they are in a tournament, because it's like, oh, that's something different. Turkey, like, caution to the wind, let's go for it. And I think that used to happen more in the Premier League, but as now it's become much more of a financial decision, Rob. Nobody's
Yeah.
willing to take the risk, and in international tournaments they're not willing to take the risk either, because it's now more about kind of like, I think, possibly not trying to not piss off players.
Yeah, there's definitely too many club games. Like the club game needs to be revamped to take away matches, I think, which is a different issue. Like Carabao Cup, even FA Cup, like combine those. I think you should, as I said before, I just think you should get rid of two teams in the Premier League. I think there's too many teams there; they're not good enough quality. But just going back to international football, this tournament, I didn't watch it. I wasn't there. But I think I've read about the World Cup in 1990, like people in Ireland remember fondly, in England, but that tournament was so bad that it forced FIFA to like look at the laws of the game and change them. They're like, this is just stinking the place out. Like Ireland got to the quarterfinals without winning the match.
Sure,
Like it was so.
was it Euro '92 that Denmark won after not qualifying?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
replaced Yugoslavia.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was the back pass.
Yeah, the back pass rule was changed after that tournament.
Yeah.
But like the tournament quality was so bad, and players were being hacked down. Tackle from behind used to be like perfectly legal. So they got rid of tackle from behind. They got rid of the back pass rule. And for anyone who grew up in the 90s, like myself and Connor, like football was great then. It was real fun, maybe because I was a kid, but 90s and noughties generally, until the Mourinho era, I think football was really
It was so
entertaining.
exciting. It was like, I know we just sound like owl lads, but like how much is the price of bread type thing. But like I really look back and say, like, the teams like Cameroon in the World Cup that used to just light it up, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like, they were never going to win the thing, but they'd make it exciting. And there's a bit of that with Austria and Georgia, and I do have to laugh that we thought the Georgia manager would leave the Georgia setup to come to Ireland, but we'll come back to that I at some point, I'd say. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't just think it's roast in the glasses. I think the football of yesteryear is better. What are you saying, Killian?
I think, like, definitely after the 90s, there's an argument of it's not roast into glasses, because like if you think of Euro 2008, you had the explosive tiki-taka football breaking through new style of play going against old styles of play. There was this kind of collision of it, like, as we seen in the 2010 World Cup final, literal collisions. But like, you had Giovanni Bronkhorst cracking them in from 35 yards from left wing back. Like, you had Tunchai Sanli and Nihat and Rushdie Rekibar for Turkey, like, all doing like crazy stuff. You had Big Jan Collar for Czech Republic being able to hold up a game and wreck any other team's momentum. 2010 World Cup, for all of the criticisms of the Jabulani, it was so entertaining.
That was a brilliant tournament.
So fun. And it wasn't just because of the Jabulani, although the likes of Jabulani actually helped, and I don't know why they never kind of continued with that more. Like, I think it was ultimately a good thing. But like when you had like Tishabalaba opening the World Cup, that's massive sprint down the right wing, in over the goalkeeper. Like, even the South African goalkeeper Kune, with his like small keeper but big hands and acrobatics. Like, there was definitely a lot more kind of entertaining attempts at play, even though there were two tournaments that were dominated by one team. It did not feel like it was two tournaments dominated by one team.
100%. And you teams like, say, like England versus that, when England played Ecuador and barely won, like they're more exciting games than there's been in this tournament, for sure.
It's gone too far now. I think as well, there's inbuilt advantages for better teams, bigger teams. So like you had Cameroon or Senegal or Ireland, even in past tournaments, shocking bigger teams. It's very hard to see that now because you've automated offside. You've 26-man squads. You've 5 substitutions in normal times, which means you can change half of your outfield team, and then another sub in extra time. So like say for example England, which we'll get to the other day, like you just knew they were going to find a way because they've the better squad, and they've players like Trent Alexander-Arnold come off the bench who can strike the ball perfectly. So I think that's an element as well. It's just it's become so sanitized that it just helps the bigger teams, and just the way Pep has influenced so many teams. Like everyone has to play out from the back. Like I was watching England last week against Slovakia before I fell asleep, and I was like, they just need to lump this ball as hard as they can up to Ivan Toney and Harry Kane. Like, don't be England aren't capable of playing tiki-taka football. Like, they don't have anyone intelligent enough in midfield to go on the ball and spray it around. Like, there's no one like Rodri. Just hoof it up the pitch, but everyone just plays the same now as well, and that's the other thing that kind of makes it. It's not always dull, but it's definitely more predictable, I think.
Nate, has analytics made football too woke for international football?
I think it's made too woke for the whole of football. Like, and this is the pressing thing in my head. It's like, and maybe you guys have a better input on it, but what is the turning point? Like, are we just going to be stuck in this mold of analytics is everything, Pep Guardiola style of play, systems versus systems, or will there be that turning point in a couple of years where we go back to not mayhem football, but like less structured, more get things done? I don't know. Is this the new football that we're just going to get used to?
I think personally that, you know, not that the game's cyclical, like we're not going to go back to the 80s, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I do think there's different eras of football, and I think right now we're in a very stats heavy era. I do think if the likes of, I think technology as a whole, say if VAR's pulled back, there might be a pullback on stats, but I think it's one of those where if it doesn't change in the next 5 years, it won't change at all. And I think what is depressing about, like, from you look at football in early 2000s again, like, yes, there was games that you got absolutely done in and you were like, that's offside, and like I've said a million times before, I love the controversy of that, but I would have been one of the people saying bring in the technology, and it's come in and it's affected the game. And then I think also in terms of playing style that it's affected the game, but then at the same time I have to look at it from the point of view of, yes, Ireland don't use those statistics incredibly well, but even looking at Newcastle, we have performed a lot better since we've come from a stats-based approach. So I think it's very dependent on who you support.
I think football needs to keep an eye on baseball, because baseball, since the whole Moneyball thing, has become very stats focused and have now spent 10 to 15 years trying to deal with the falling viewership because it's become boring. It's a boring sport anyway, but it's now gotten more boring. So yeah, it is definitely like something to opine, but let's opine no longer. Let's look at the semi-finals of Euro 2024. England, Netherlands. Rob, what's your kind of take on the Netherlands up until this point? I've been kind of reasonably... They've been effective. I wouldn't say I like them, but they've been effective.
Yeah, they're interesting in the way that, like, they're missing De Jong, who's their best player in midfield, but like they actually show the benefits for certain teams for this format is that you can actually grow into the tournament. So they started okay, they beat Poland, they drew with France. That would have got them through in the past, but then they lost to Austria, and like I suppose he scored twice in it. What I've liked about them in the matches I've seen is that Koeman, who I don't think is a particularly great coach. I think Van Gaal is a much better coach, but I think he's better than Southgate. But he's willing to change things up a little bit. So like he won't do what Southgate's been doing and leaving Harry Kane on the pitch no matter what, until Harry Kane literally has to physically withdraw himself and say, I can't play anymore. So he might start with Memphis or Malin, but he's also bringing on Weghorst, and he's not afraid to do that. And the very kind of pacey players out wide who should kind of give England trouble. Yeah, like I think they're capable of scoring in any match. So I would like to. I think they could beat England. I wouldn't like to see them do what Switzerland did, which was kind of give England probably more respect than they deserved. I think they're treating them the way they would treat the reputation of the players at club level, rather than this kind of really generally average team, I think, as a collective. So I think the Dutch they're talented, they're a bit erratic, but I do think Coleman could have an advantage in summary because he's more willing to make a change, and I think Weghorst and Depay, a combination of those two, should find a way to get a goal against England.
Nate, Man United last year missed out on getting Cody Gakpo, and he's been very effective for the Netherlands. So you kind of like feeling like he's missed out a little bit now.
Not particularly. Like
It's very good.
He's been really good this tournament, but I think he's been really good in a poor Netherlands side. Like the
He could have been very good in a poor Man United side.
He's played opposition for Liverpool. He plays on the left for Netherlands. I know it's only a slight tweak, but Liverpool tried to turn him into like a Firmino type of player, and he's done better work in the tournament.
He's a totally different player in that Netherlands team.
Yeah.
It's similar with like, you know, with not to dwell on or bring us to England too quickly, but like playing Foden on the left versus playing him in the middle, it's two different players, you know.
We're not doing the RTE thing. We are going to continue talking about other teams before we get talking. So, Nate.
Yeah, like Netherlands, they're just very, very basic side. Like, tactically, there's not much there. I do like, as Rob touched on, the Coleman's not afraid to use the bench, like Mr. Southgate. But yeah, like just tactics wise, there isn't much there. Like, I think against England, they're gonna probably try and get a goal, and then I think whoever gets the goal first in that game is gonna sit back like no tomorrow. So be prepared for that.
One more thing, Connor, was that he done something that other teams haven't done. Sorry, is that like they were losing to Turkey and they came back. That hasn't happened much in the tournament. Sorry, Connor.
No, it's a great point, and you know, the thing for me is, and I think kind of on that point, I think if Netherlands are to beat England here, they're going to have to do it in 90 minutes because I think this England team, if they get to extra time, feel like they can handle it now. It's not the days of we're scared of penalties, we're scared of extra time. I think it's a different beast. So I think it's like that. If they can't look at this, even if they go 1-0 down, go, okay, if we get it back to 1-1, bring it into extra time. I think they need to just go full on at it and try to get the win in the 90. I don't know about you, Kill.
It's I'm not convinced particularly by either team, but I think Netherlands has a little bit more to grind out the result. Like what they did in the last game was like really quite impressive against Turkey, because Turkey seemed to kind of just have the pressure on constantly, and they weathered it out, and they managed to sneak in the goals whilst still not being overly impressive for large portions of the game. And I think the likes of England, I think we can now go on to them, have had big enough gaps that a scrappy team that like Coleman's Netherlands are right now, like they will leave positions open enough for the likes of Cody Gakpo to come off the bench and to penalise them.
One last one for me with the Dutch is that, like, if Southgate goes into the team, I'm getting more confident as I go on and start thinking more about it. If he goes into it with that same kind of front line, the Dutch should be able to handle that because, like, Van Dijk has looked a bit like he's not the player he was, which is inevitable, but he'd be able to handle Kane no better because Kane is much slower than him.
And he's playing as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, you Van de Ven, who didn't start, but he come off the bench, and he is lightning quick off Tottenham. He is like so quick, and like England's front line, there's no pace. Like there's no one that can run. He leaves all the runners on the bench, like Watkins or Gordon, or Palmer, who does come on. But if it's Foden and it's Bellingham and Kane all going into the same positions, the Dutch should be able to get a grip of the game, and they're good from set pieces. So I'm getting more confident for Netherlands.
Rob, have you suggested maybe like adjusting your team to the team that you're going to play?
It's a revolutionary idea. Might not catch on. Yeah,
Vincent Kompany wouldn't be too much of a fan of your thinking.
No.
Somebody get a messenger pigeon over to Germany, straight over to Gareth, Nate.
Interestingly enough, though, about Van Dijk, he's had the most fouls in the whole tournament.
Oh wow! Oh, that's
he
interesting.
famously not like go like 2 years without fouling somebody.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a showcase to possibly a starting decline. In my opinion, like
I think it's that
just stood out to me. I think he's had like 16 fouls or something, which is great.
Well, when your pace goes, that's what happens. You know, you gotta do those clumsy tackles to kind of take the yellow on the chin and move from there. But you know, for me, with Southgate, what I found to date with him, and even we can kind of chat about the Kane thing in more depth in a sec, but I don't know if you guys have noticed this, where from a sub's point of view, he's completely reactive as opposed to proactive. Like he waits for something to go wrong before trying to change it. And I think it's really starting to affect that team.
Do you know why that is? In my opinion, I think he has a group in that camp that he does not want to upset, and then he has a group that he knows he can get away with leaving on the bench. And I honestly think until something goes wrong, like visually in front of him, he's too scared to take players off that pitch. I really do think that.
I'd believe that, considering like there's no other excuse for leaving the likes of an Anthony Gordon on the bench. Like, he was in his cameos that he's gotten, he was very, very effective. But no, let's keep starting Foden.
Or
Ollie,
look,
what?
even at Cole Palmer, like Jesus Christ, like I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't even in the England team a year ago, and he looks more than comfortable in that team. He's taken penalties just fine. Anytime he's come on, he's bossed it. I think even the wider one is Kane. It's like, I know he potentially has a knock. I don't know if it's fully to do with that. I think he's just kind of declining a little bit, but I read a piece on the Athletic before we hopped on, and they're kind of coming at it from the point of view: is he becoming England's Ronaldo, where you can't take him off for optics, but in the team externally, with outside the team? But for me, like, Jesus, I don't know. Do you wait to bring up? Like, don't get me wrong. If the ball drops in the box and there's one England player you want on it, it's probably him. But at the same time, I think an Ollie Watkins or an Ivan Toney or a mixture of the two of them would work a hell of a lot better. I don't know about you, Nate.
Are you ready? I'll go further than the Athletic. I'll say Harry Kane to England's more of a hindrance than Ronaldo is to Portugal.
No,
I'll
no,
say
no, I'm not having that. No.
150%.
I have to come in here,
Mate,
Killian.
this fella Harry Kane is playing CDM. At least Ronaldo actually looks like he can get on the end of the
Ronaldo,
couch.
that match
Mate.
against Slovenia was like, it was like watching a play.
At
It
least
wasn't
he's
a
actually
football match.
trying to score. Like,
He was having a meltdown.
Harry Kane's playing CDM against bleeding Slovakia in the Euros.
I think Ronaldo should have retired mid-match. Do you remember LeBron James got the NBA scoring record and he just stopped the match and gave him a ceremony?
I think you need to rewatch this Harry Kane disaster class. He has.
He's been poor, but Ronaldo, and it's separate, is the most pathetic. I think
not
he's
poor,
just ruined
he's
his
been-
legacy. But Ronaldo or Kane should be dropped, definitely. But and you're right as well, Nate. Like, Southgate isn't proactive, but I don't even know if he's trying to keep people on side. I just don't think he understands what's going on. And I know that sounds real condescending or harsh, but if you look at every big match they've had under him, he just never makes changes. He's like he's been great at, and he gets credit for this. Two things that he's done brilliantly for England is he creates an atmosphere in the group where he's great dealing with the media. He never gets flustered under pressure. The players obviously like playing underneath him, and he's created a great environment for him kind of to thrive in. And he's got an easy draw in nearly every tournament. So that's what's worked for him. But in regards in-game management, like, he's like some guy who's standing waiting on a bus. Like, and
What annoys me, man, on that is, like, the English press are kind of bigging up the changes that he made to the back three, and it's like that was motivated by Gahey being injured and the press hammering you. You did not make that decision on your own, and it's the best performance England have had, which still wasn't very good.
Yeah,
that's not even a proactive change. That's him reversing back to old tactics that didn't work either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he played back three before, and like if you ever notice him, next time you watch it, now I know it's his assistant, but I get the impression a bit like when Gerrard was at Rangers and you have your man Michael Beale talking through matches. I think your man Steve Holland is talking Southgate through the game. I don't think he's fully aware really of how he can make a change, and we saw this a little bit with Ireland with Stephen Kenny, like, and against Netherlands, like Ireland were winning, and Coleman just made a couple of changes and they won the match, and Ireland kind of couldn't react to it. And I think that's what happens to Southgate when it gets to a certain level, and I think it could happen on Wednesday. Even Ivan Toney was like, he was disgusted to be coming on in the 94th minute. Like, you're losing to Slovakia, you haven't had a shot on target, and you don't make a change till the 94th minute. Like, you don't deserve to be bailed out there. You deserve to have a turnip put on your head as the top. No, you don't deserve that, but you deserve all the criticism coming your way. And I think Southgate, if England had got a proper tactical manager, Jesus, they would be right up there with France to win it.
But what annoys me about him is, like, he can't take Kane out now, because if you didn't do it in game 3 of the groups, you're not going to do it in a semi-final. It's madness though. Like, and I understand the caliber of player he is / was, and yes, he was top scorer in the Bundesliga, but for me, we've talked about this with Ireland before when it comes to like we don't need a style of play, we just need to win. I don't. If you're an England fan, I don't think you care who starts as long as you win.
Yeah, who's going to cause Van Dijk more problems? Harry Kane, a traffic cone. Like, to be honest, that's what it's like at this stage. Or Ollie Watkins. I love Kane. Kane's probably, I think he's one of my favourite players, and he's definitely one of the best English players I've ever seen. But he's injured. Like, he doesn't look fit, and he's getting declined. So Ollie Watkins will stretch Van Dijk. He will give him something to think about, and then maybe Kane comes into the game when it's 80 minutes gone.
See, where Kane for me it doesn't work is the way they're playing in that system. They need to have a player who has a turn of pace and can kind of pull back into that almost CDM role and then just accelerate and get in behind them. And he is not your guy for that. Unless you put someone beside him who can do that, it's not going to work.
I think ultimately Kane is a symptom of the problems. I think there's a lack of structure in the team, and he's so used to I think he's having Vietnam flashbacks back to Spurs, where it was just like, Kane, make us win, just make it all work.
But even in that, he had Son doing the donkey work.
Quarterback at the back, you know.
Yeah, what I mean? But like, I think this is the perennial English problem, and that's going on for a quarter century now. Of it's not about finding positions for players or getting the right team together. It's about getting the right names in. Why would you bring so many attacking midfielders? Other than the fact that, I can't be seen to leave out Cole Palmer. I can't be seen to leave out Foden. I can't be seen to leave out Beckham. I can't be seen to I can't be seen to leave out Gordon, Bowen. Like, that's why your team is so imbalanced, and then bringing an injured left back. Like, what is the point of all this? And it's going back to the days of playing Scholes on the right midfield, because you can't not have Scholes. Like,
I think Rob's right though, man. He's a vibes man. He trades and loyalty.
I don't think he's a vibes man. I think he's a politician.
Yes, I think this is what I think. Gareth Southgate would be a better prime minister than a football manager. I think Gareth Southgate would be
a week or two ago.
Prime minister.
If you stand him beside Keir Starmer, you cannot tell me which one's prime minister.
I think he'd be a better prime minister than Starmer. I don't know what his politics are, but he's a statesman. He seems like a lovely guy. No one has a bad word to say about him. But like, is he? I don't know if you guys remember years ago when John Giles was on the punditry, and he used to say, like, would he kill his granny? Like, Southgate wouldn't kill his granny. Like, he said, this guy would kill his granny to win a match. I don't think he has that in him at all, and I don't think I think the game passed him by because he doesn't really understand. Like, Kane plays brilliant for England when he was playing well, even though he is injured and he's getting on, is when he has Marcus Rashford or Sterling running off him. There's no one who runs off him. You get Jude Bellingham, who thinks he's in a video game, just picking up the ball, any position he wants. You've Foden trying to do his little 1-2 passing, and then you've no wit. It, like, you don't even have to be like a coach or tactical, like, even to understand football that much to watch it to know that it's not really working, and it goes back to Southgate. So I feel like the press now are finding a scapegoat in Kane, and it's a bit harsh. Even though I agree with you, Nate, he's been brutal. Let's be honest.
But the only one thing that pointed out to me when I heard that he's gone back to the three at the back is this fella does not have a system. Like, literally does not have a system. You cannot change. Okay, he has a formation. He doesn't have a system.
Does he even have a formation though? Because I think it's just out of sheer habit.
He's got two formations that he's happy with, but when you watch them, there's literally no repeating sequences on the football pitch. It is crazy. And honestly, I think he let the mask slip when he switched formation, and it was like, mate, you were literally all vibes, like literally all vibes. I don't think you can do that in a tournament.
Or dropping Trent, you come into it like brief the press. Trent's going to start. If you thought Trent starting midfield was a good idea, why drop him after a 1.5 matches against like Denmark and Serbia? Like,
I think you're right with the scapegoat I think you're right with the scapegoat of Kane, because I think Trent had been the scapegoat up until this tournament. Got that penalty, and then it's okay, we can't shit on him. Who's next in the queue? Kane. And I don't. He is carrying the weight of that England team in the press. Is it probably right of this tournament? Yes, but I think he has enough cash in the bank over the years.
Does the English version of Owen McLove have what it takes to win the tournament? Well, according to Grace Note's predictor, not really in comparison to the rest. So Grace Note has England at 17% chance of winning the Euros, and Netherlands 24. Then it's France at 25, and then Connor's favourite, Spain at 34. So, Nate, Spain versus France. Didier Deschamps has even responded to playing about boring football, and Spain seems to be the only kind of proactive team in the tournament left. Where are you placing your money?
I think Spain plays them off the park. That France side has been abysmal, like so bad. Like I can't believe what I'm watching. Like the players that they have, like it's actually like crazy.
These are
And
runners up to the world champions.
yeah, and like if we go back to our bleeding our preview show, like I think all you lads backed them to win. So, well, I picked Portugal, so I didn't do much better. But
No, like France pre-tournament were a different gravy, and like the team they left behind is arguably better than any team that's in this currently. But it's like Mbappe. It's not the broken nose. I don't care what anyone says. He's been diabolical from the start of the tournament.
This is exactly what I was expecting to play like. Genuinely, I've never seen them play well in any tournament. They were involved in some great games like the World Cup final or when they played Argentina in 2018 World Cup, but they'll only ever do what's needed, which is if that's a 1-0 win, they'll win 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2, wherever it might be. Or even now, they're like, we don't even need to score. We don't even need to have a shot on target. Like we can just win on penalties. Like, and that just seems to be their approach. So, yeah, Deschamps is a football terrorist. Like, I would love to see. I'd love to see Marcelo Bielsa or I don't know Ralph Rangnick. Imagine Ralph Rangnick coaching these guys. Now they probably wouldn't listen to him, but I don't know. Someone with an idea other than just let's try win this would be great because they're so talented. But I never thought I'd say this. I think they're missing Pogba. They don't have anyone really who can go on the ball in midfield and kind of open the pitch up. So maybe they're just playing the percentages.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Pogba is going to fix their problems. Like Deschamps was a defensive midfielder, like an anchorman defensive midfielder as a player, and you can tell, like you can absolutely see that his whole mentality is just kind of like solidity, structure.
It's similar with Southgate because he's a defender as well, and he's so boring in his approach, and he's got some of the best attacking options in world football, and he just. All it is my back four, and Slabhead is surprisingly not in that team, which, looking back now, he probably should be.
I don't think he's gonna fix anything. That like there's too much broken with that team. Like don't forget Middlesbrough. He failed at Middlesbrough after spending a lot of money in Middlesbrough terms, and he got sacked by them halfway during the season in the Championship because he wasn't doing enough to get them promoted. This is not a manager of a high caliber.
No,
but Deschamps had these guys at a World Cup final, and look at Germany. Germany were boring but effective, and it was kind of one of them kind of going like, yeah, not great, but you're getting the job done. France doesn't necessarily seem to be getting the job done anymore, Nate.
They underachieved in all their tournaments other than when they won it.
It was just so bad. Like, even thinking back to Portugal, France, like. I thought I was stuck in a recurrent time. Like I thought that match was never going to end. I think I looked at the clock and it was like 116 minutes for like 20 minutes in a row. Like it was so bad, and I get frustrated when I watch football and I can't see a system. I'm like, the least you can provide me going into a tournament is the most basic system, like just anything. But it seems like a lot of these teams are just. They're just kicking the ball about, you know what I mean? And player wise, like they should be, they're still like, in my opinion, the best team in the world.
Yeah, well, they are possibly the best team left in our sweepstakes because there's only 2 years left, which is Connor and you, Nate. Netherlands.
And I would like to say that I said this from the beginning. I never wanted to. I would have rather anyone else. Like I don't want to win the sweepstakes. Like,
but do we think that France have enough to grind out a result against Spain?
oh, I don't know, man. I think it depends. The ball, pardon the pun, is in Spain's box. To be honest, like if Spain turn up and play France if Spain turn up and play, they will beat France. If they turn up with like a rudderless system that depends on Lamine Yamal, they probably won't.
I think France are going to do them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'd love to see Spain win it. They play the best football, like the best midfield. But I think like where you have to give France credit is the defense. I know it's probably easier, but Saliba's been great,
Yeah.
and Koundé is very good. Their goalkeeper is very good, Mike Magnon. So like I think they'll find a way to keep a lid on Morata, and it's the two lads out wide that they'll have to. But then Kante is back from the dead, like the Undertaker, and he's like he will find a way to put a lid on those two lads. So, and Rabiot will be back in, and Griezmann. So they do have really hard workers. It's just a shame that they've so much talent that we could be going into this and thinking this is an all-time classic match. Instead, it will be probably France winning on penalties.
Hopefully they'll be rejuvenated by their election win that all the players were very, very pleased about.
Yeah.
So do we think Netherlands have enough to beat England?
Yes.
Again, this sounds like I'm just reciting the same answers, but I think it hinges on how England play. I think if England play like they did in the group stages, Netherlands can beat them. If England play like they did in the last game, they probably can't.
Does it hurt sitting on the fence so much?
I'm saying
Well, like England played the exact same as they did in the group stages in the last game. It's just they got lucky at the end in the penalties, in my opinion.
they were slightly quicker.
I honestly don't think they've changed one bit. Like it's
No.
still the same. Boring
Southgate's big trick was to play Trippier on the left. Like they thought he was going to switch the formation. The big trick was to do the exact same thing. I'm saying 2-1 Netherlands. England to score first.
Wow. Okay.
Netherlands will figure them out. They did that against Turkey. They did that against Ireland. Like they drew with France. I think the Dutch will find a way. I'm not going to say who. I don't think it'll be big vote, but I think England will score like they did against Croatia, like they did against Italy under Southgate, and they'll retreat into their shell, and the Dutch will find a way to beat them.
Killian, what are you saying?
I think Netherlands will win. I don't
Jesus,
know.
boys, we're really going anti-Brit on this pod.
Yeah, I think Netherlands have proven they can get a goal, and England have kind of proven the opposite. Like they have gotten goals, but just so inconsistent about it. Like, and it's just such hard work for them to do it. It's like they have an aversion to being good, and yeah, I just don't think it's going to change in this match. I think the players are going to be getting more tired. I think I said it from early on that I thought there was this kind of little murmuring in the camp that it all wasn't right. That there seemed to be not the vibes weren't there anymore, and I think that's going to shine through. And anything to see Rio Ferdinand sad.
Yeah.
Like the man talks about football like an 8-year-old who has only ever played.
He's honestly the worst. Like
Oh my God.
of them all. Like I know you hate Mika Richards. We're all not big Gary Neville heads, but like Rio has to be the worst of them.
He's insufferable. I knocked on BBC one day because when it's on Virgin Media, I can switch between RTE and BBC, and he'd sunglasses on. I'm like, mate, like you're not Bondo. Like take off your fucking sunglasses. Like who do you think you are? Like you're on the BBC. Like I'm people pay. This is taxpayers' money. Give me analysis. You played at a high level. Instead, he just turns around and calls them all by their nicknames. He called Bukayo Saka Starboy the other day. I'm like, imagine your dad watching that or something. Like, what are you talking about, mate? Like, what does this bring to the party? I can just grab some fella on off the street. Like, it's horrendous. To see those guys cry or be miserable, that's partly why I'm rooting against England. No other real reason.
I genuinely think England, what I'm getting off this England team is genuinely, it's like your car's running out of petrol. You're looking at going, okay, I can 20 miles, how far to the petrol station? And they'll just land in at the, like, fucking right at the petrol station. I think they could, with the worst performances they've done in a tournament in a good stretch, I actually think they're going to go to the final. I would love nothing more than the Netherlands to win, but
I don't know about you boys, but I'm like praying we get a rerun of the 2010 World Cup final, like Spain versus Netherlands, please.
That'd be great.
I'm telling you, I'd pay a lot more money to switch the old teams with the new ones. I'd tell you that.
I think if that is the final, it'd be great to do a watch along with the 2010 one.
Yeah,
Just because Like at least you can kind of look back at the madness and the karate kicks and the great goals from miles out at random times
Bring us
when
back.
they were needed. Has there been any players in the tournament, lads, that has stood out to you and they made you kind of go, oh, actually,
From
like
an England point of view, Konza and Gahey for me, I think they've been quite standard. I think Gay's been England's best defender. Outside of that, let me have a think, boys. Anyone you're thinking?
I know we see him all the time for Man City, but Rodri's so good. And I love Danny Olmo off Spain.
yeah,
He's just, the way he strikes the ball, it's just, like, it's so clean. He's brilliant. And I love Rodri. It's just, like, I was watching him against, I think it was Georgia.
The man doesn't lose games. He just doesn't.
Yeah. And against Germany, and he made like about 4 blocks in a row, and you could just feel, I think Germany's just momentum just sapped out of him. He's just so good. Like, probably for me, should be top 3 for Ballon d'Or. Not that I really care that much about, but he is class.
Kobe Mainu, lads. He has been unreal.
He's been good. I don't know.
He's been, mate, in an
Take his
underperforming
age
England
out of it. Take
He's
his
a
age out of
great
it.
player.
He's
underperforming
very
England
good.
side, he has been head and shoulders above 90% of that team.
But, yeah.
he's got
has been.
very good experience for his age, which will hold well for the next tournament.
He's
Yeah.
played so well that he can't be used as a scapegoat. That's one thing to think about. Because he's
Yeah.
an easy
Yeah.
scapegoat. He is an easy scapegoat because if he wasn't performing well, you could go, why is Southgate playing the 18-year-old? Like,
He's been good. I think I'll give him a
I
7
think
in most of his matches. I don't think he's been on Rodri level or
I'm not
even
saying he's been on Rodgers level.
Musiala has been class as well.
Before the
Mbolo as well
tournament-
for me for Switzerland. Sorry to cut across you, Kill.
Bolo only turns up at tournaments though. Like that man is a football manager legend, but he only ever turns up. Like he spends the rest of the years injured or whatever. Like he gets transfers, but he only turns up at tournaments. I said before the tournament that there would be some players coming out of this that kind of appeared and would be getting good big fees. I think you could say that about half the Georgian team.
Yeah.
From their goalkeeper, their wingers, like there is going to be a big transfer out of that team this summer off the back of this tournament, and I am so here for it.
Switzerland too. Like I know there's 7 of their players in the Premier League, and they're at decent clubs, but I think there'll be movement there. I think the likes of Albania as well. I think there'll be some movement there. Your Romanias as well.
Arda Güler for Turkey's looked really good.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
he's
He's frightening. Yeah.
He's going to be some player.
He's already at Madrid. It's just like there's nothing to look forward to with him. It's just domination.
I'm looking forward to how good a player he can become. Like if he's training with that level of players now, like I think his ceiling's very high.
What's amazing about him as well is like I was watching him in the most recent game, and he has no problem bossing around 30-year-old men at the age of 17. What is he?
Yeah.
18, 19 now. He's class.
He's 18, but I think the thing that excites me with him is he's at a nation like Turkey. He's not at like your Spain, your France, so like he is the future of Turkey. You know what I mean? So I think that's exciting where he can take Turkey in future tournaments and stuff like that.
Can
He'll
he
be the main
reach the
guy.
heights of Nihat and Tugay and Tunchai Sanli?
In terms of his popularity, right? I saw a tweet he did recently, and you know the way on Twitter you can see the impressions or reach, whatever. It was 20 million.
Oh, I'm mad for it. The Turkish fans are mad. Absolutely. If you can link any player to a Turkish club, you will see incredible traction on that online.
So are you saying what I said a long time ago? It's great when players play for small nations and you all tell me it's wrong.
Turkey's not a small nation.
No, but you know what I mean.
But
Yeah.
I think
Turkey, they are nuts. Like,
Lamine Yamal's been really good as well. Like he's a frightening player. Like what is he still 16? 17?
Like
he's 70 the day before the final.
Yeah.
Like when you consider the last kind of high profile player of that age at a tournament for this neck of the woods anyway was Walcott 2006, and it was just the fact that he was on the plane.
He should never have gone to that tournament.
No.
But no, I'm just saying, like, that was what a 16-year-old was a decade ago.
Yeah.
And now they're leading the line.
He turned 17.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nico Williams as well. Like when you look at some of the garbage that Chelsea bought, like and this guy is available for 55 million euro. Like,
And they're still buying, by the way. Like,
still buying. Like,
mate,
he's better than any winger they have now at the moment.
how many players do they have? Like, because I don't see people going out. Like,
No, it's the
they could field 3 teams. I'm not even messing.
Oh, 100%. One other player, actually, lads, Theo Hernandez.
yeah.
Busy.
He's been very good.
He's kind of he's like, for me, like he's one of those sleeper players where you're kind of just a bit like, you knew of him, you knew he was decent, but he's had some tournament in my book.
Yeah, no, he has been very, very good. Gentlemen, I think it's been a slightly underwhelming tournament. What looked to be one for the underdogs to be kind of break through and potentially kind of like maybe we might get a Greece again or have somebody different. We have 4 of the classic teams go in the semi-finals. Obviously we'll be watching, but anybody excited?
Oh yeah,
I know I am. Yeah, like it's
still
like,
going to be dramatic.
Yeah, and I like, you know, however these games go, it's great to have kind of high profile games on, and you know, there's always like, I think at least there's a Netherlands in it to give it a bit of spice, you know.
Bring me the Premier League, please.
No, these matches don't come along often. When you're watching, I don't even know who got promoted last season. You're watching Leicester v, I don't know who. Give me a bad team. Southampton, Leicester v Southampton on Friday night in rainy October. You'll be thinking that Euro semi-final where Netherlands won 7-0 actually wasn't that bad.
Oh,
or the 0-0 draw and he's winning on penalties.
If any team wins like 4-0, that would actually make up for the rest of the tournament.
But it's actually 10 years to the day now since Germany beat Brazil 7-2.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that was
Jesus,
real
wow.
That was real football.
7-1. That was dramatic. Now, that was
Louise crying.
That was traumatic.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. And we'll chat to you probably ahead of the final. Try and get one in before the final.
Definitely.
Think so.
Yeah, we'll chat to you then.
Messi. Messi. Oh my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. That is extraordinary. What a head, son. What a head. Back of the net.